Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of The World Today. I'm Ahmed Nader, and as usual we will be discussing the latest headlines and the articles published in several newspapers and magazines from Egypt and the world. And today I'm honored to be having with me in the studio Mrs. Marwa Muhammad Ibrahim, the Deputy Head of the Foreign News Desk at Al Ahram Daily Newspaper. Mrs. Marwa, thank you very much for being with us today on The World Today.
Thank you.
We will be starting straight away with the main headline from the Daily News of Egypt, which says that President Al-Sisi heads the National Defense Council meeting on Sunday. President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi headed on Sunday a meeting for the National Defense Council. Presidential spokesman Ala Yusuf said that the meeting discusses the latest developments and different files. Mrs. Marwa, how would you evaluate the current security situation in Egypt, and especially on the borders of Egypt as well?
The Security Council, first of all, discussed the regional issues, the regional threats, the wars all around our borders.
Yes.
And decided to maintain and continue helping and joining the other armies in the Arab world in protecting the region as a whole, which saving the security of the Arab world is something that would help directly in the national security of Egypt. It's nothing far away from us. The threats which is facing Syria or Yemen or Libya are facing us.
Yes.
So the same terrorist organization Daesh is threatening Egypt, as well as it's destroying Syria and destroying Libya, and the tribal conflicts in Yemen are also affecting us directly. So the Defense Council decided to continue its military missions overseas in the Red Sea mainly, yeah, and all over the Arab world.
Yes.
Moreover, it discussed Ramadan, the holy month, and protecting Egypt from inside, not just from the borders, the national security and the disturbances that might happen during the holy month, and protecting the people, making them enjoy the holy months as usual, as every year.
Yes.
There are so many internal issues that might cause disturbance through the months. The latest one is the Thanawi Amma exams, yes, and what happened.
Yes.
Yes, and what happened in the exams, and which caused a lot of disturbance to a lot of homes all over the country that might shouldn't be allowed to escalate.
Yes, regarding President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi, how did you see the interview that he gave to the Egyptian television, and the achievements that he has achieved or gained during the past 2 years as President of Egypt?
Of course, there are a lot of achievements. We can't deny the achievements that happened, our Mr. Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi accomplished during the past 2 years. First of all, he managed to protect Egypt from the protests and disturbances, yes, that are irritating the whole region. He managed to accomplish a great victory over the terrorists in Sinai. The new Suez Canal, yes, and so many things. There is still a lot to be done, but as for now, he managed to keep the country as a one whole piece, which is good for the time being.
So securing the country and keeping the country, as you said, in one piece is the greatest achievement of President Al-Sisi during the past 2 years.
And the most important one, something that couldn't happen in Syria or Libya, for example.
Yes.
So it's the most important one, that we are managing to live our everyday life in a normal way.
So how did you see the latest military deals between Egypt and France and the reception of the Mistral ship, which was later named Gamal Abdel Nasser.
On Thursday, yes. You see, Egypt is in the center, the focal point of the war over terrorism in the region. So France is recognizing the importance of Egypt as a major help in the region, and a major help for the the French national security.
Yes.
It's helping France in facing its major enemy, which is Daesh, which is hitting Europe from the heart of Europe right now.
Yes.
But Egypt is the major army and the most qualified army in the region to protect, to fight such a kind of terrorism and protect Europe as well, not only the Arab world. It's only protecting Europe from the main threat that it's facing it. France is now living in a sea of blood.
Yes.
And still...
And the sea of water as well.
Yes. The floods. Yes. So Egypt is the major army which is can be helping France right now, and Europe as a whole, not only France. And the United States are helping Egypt as well, trying to provide some weapons in order to make Egypt more qualified in its war against terrorism.
Yes, and turning to Al-Ahram online right now with Egypt and Palestine. Egypt continues the opening of the Rafah border crossing as Egypt extended the opening of the Rafah border crossing for the 4th day, allowing 147 Palestinians to cross the border in both directions on Sunday. The decision to extend the opening of the border crossing came upon the calls from the Palestinian Ministry of Interior to the Egyptian authorities to help seize the existing crisis and salvage a disastrous situation in the Gaza Strip. The border was opened on Saturday and Sunday, over which days 1,476 people crossed the Rafah border from both directions. What is the importance of this move in easing the Palestinian suffering and more specifically in Gaza?
You see, it's important to open the crossing right now before the holy month of Ramadan, to provide them with the logistic needs, the daily logistic needs.
Yes.
There were more than 1,418 travelers across the border through the past 3 days. 12 cargoes of construction material, many medical teams would help the patients. It's so important, but it's important as well to preserve the security of the crossing during opening it, while the movement over it, it's...
To prevent terrorist attacks once again happening from Sinai or in Sinai.
From entering Egypt through, as a normal person, a normal citizen, who needs help, and it turns out to be a terrorist.
Do you think that there is an improvement in the security situation in Sinai, to be specific?
Somehow, but it's still very complicated. You cannot differentiate between the tourist and the ordinary citizen. They are always hiding between the houses and the villages, and it's hard to differentiate between them. It's hard to picking them up and say this is the tourist and this is an innocent man who is living his ordinary life in a normal way.
Yes.
So security should be high during these situations and such movement, which is highly risky nowadays.
How do you see the Egyptian role in the Palestinian conflict with Israel and the peace process right now under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi since his election?
Yes. You see, Egypt all over the history has had good relations with with the Palestinian factions. Although they are warring factions, which is one of the main problems, that they can't be unified. But Egypt, through the latest initiative by Mr. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is trying to revive the peace process once more, to reduce the violence in the occupied land. Egypt has good relations with the Palestinian factions and common interests with Israel, so it would be able to help a lot in mediating between them and finding some solution, some even temporary solutions. There is no need to be permanent, but Abdel Fattah al-Sisi had a lot of problems in Sinai right now. Maybe the peace process isn't the main one, but fighting terrorists.
Not the main priority for Egypt now.
Yes, fighting terrorists in Sinai may be the main problem right now. But reviving the peace process might help a lot in the coming days.
Yes, turning from Egypt to Libya, and the Global Post says that the Libyan Prime Minister rules out the international military intervention in the country. The Prime Minister of the Libyan United Nations-backed unity government ruled out an international military intervention to fight the Daesh terrorist group, which has had a growing presence in the country since 2014. Some 25 nations, including the United States and Russia, agreed last month to help Libya arm itself against Daesh terrorists, but the Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj told the French newspaper Journal du Dimanche he would not allow the foreign troops on the ground. In an interview published Sunday, he had said that it is true that Libya needs help from the international community in the fight against terrorism. How would be the echo of the Libyan Prime Minister calls regionally and internationally for the other countries or the other armies not to be intervening in his country?
We must agree on a major point right now, that every country should be able to save itself. No intervention would be able to save a country. The United States and the NATO as a whole already caused a huge problem for the Libyans since 2012 and 2011, and they are causing a huge with the intervention and the airstrikes, which left Libya in chaos. Now Libya is collecting the parts and trying to save what can be left, what's left. The economy is destroyed for one of the major petroleum exporters in the world, which is devastating for it. So Libya is the only one that can help Libya. Also, we can deny that somehow Egypt is supporting Libya, which is important for the Egyptian national security as well. From the borders, protecting the borders between the two countries is important to Egypt as well as it's important to the Libyans.
Do you think that there would be a political solution to the conflict in Libya?
Somehow, there are all tribes. It's something that doesn't have to do with politics, but somehow they will manage to find a way out of the problem they are living right now for the peace of the whole country. It's not for one faction over the other. It's looking for the best interest of the country as a whole is an important issue for the Libyans right now, to concentrate on saving the country and saving the economy and being able to live as a normal life. It's important to find the solutions on their own, without any help from outside, without any intervention, and without anybody or any other country using them in any way, or using the economy like what's happening in Iraq right now.
Yes, so turning to the Daily Star of Lebanon, and we turn from Libya to Syria. Russian military deliver humanitarian aid to the Syrian Daraa. Spokesman of the Russian Reconciliation Center in Syria said that the Russian military delivered about 4 tons of humanitarian aid, including bread baked of the Russian flour in Syria, to the Syrian Daraa province. Russia delivered to the residents and refugees in the Tubna town in the Daraa province humanitarian assistance, as the people received individual food packages, tinned fish and meat, flour and cereals. The Russian military doctors offer assistance in a mobile medical tent as well. The locals greeted the Russian humanitarian mission with a festive rally, where the governor and the local officials made speeches. How do you think the influence of the Russian move on the International Human Rights Organization in Syria now?
You see, aside from the humanitarian assistance and how they are helping Syria, the United Nations are helping the civilians in Syria, the troops, the governmental troops, has managed to make a huge victory over the Daesh. Right now, it managed to enter Raqqa, the capital of Daesh in Syria, which is a huge achievement, a huge military achievement, which is preparing for a better situation, we may say, although it's a better military situation, but it's a huge misery when it comes to humanitarian situation. The Aleppo and the other towns of cities of the countryside of Syria are being airstruck through all over the hour.
Yes.
All over the day, and which is devastating for the humanitarian issues from the humanitarian point of view.
Yes, Mrs. Marwa Muhammad Ibrahim, the Deputy Head of the Foreign News Desk at Al Ahram Daily Newspaper. Thank you very much for being with us today on The World Today, and Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of The World Today for Sunday. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.